Hello and Namaskar. Welcome to the lecture series on Basic Structure Doctrine, the soul of Indian Constitution. I am Advocate Amod Bidhuri, and in this episode, we dive into the very anatomy of this groundbreaking doctrine. Let me begin with a question. Is there a list of basic features? Who decides what's basic? Today, we will unravel that question. We will explore how the judiciary has interpreted the Constitution, showing that there is no fixed checklist for what comprises the basic structure. Instead, it is a flexible, evolving concept that takes shape through each landmark judgment. By the end of this lecture, you will understand the key elements the court has identified as part of the basic structure, such as the supremacy of the Constitution, the rule of law, the separation of powers, judicial review, secularism, federalism, and the debates that continue to fuel discussions on judicial power. Let's begin. When we speak of the basic structure, many expect a neatly defined list. Yet, the Supreme Court has repeatedly emphasized that there is no fixed or exhaustive list of basic features. The doctrine is in fact a product of judicial interpretation, a living concept that adapts as new challenges arise. Consider this. Each judgment over the years has added nuance. The court in Keshavananda Bharati laid the cornerstone with a broad philosophical understanding. Since then, subsequent cases have refined what basic means, proving that constitutional norms evolve with society. This fluidity gives the doctrine its strength, allowing it to act as a safeguard against any transient political majority, but also opens it up to criticism. Critics argue, if the list is flexible, who exactly decides what remains sacred? And with that, power vested in the judiciary, should unelected judges have the final say on the essence of the Constitution? Throughout this session, I'll try to elaborate how this flexibility operates with real examples and judicial pronouncements, inviting you to question whether such judicial power is a necessary guardian of democracy or a potential overreach. Now let's examine the core elements that have repeatedly been identified as a part of our constitutional basic structure. Although the Supreme Court has not provided a definitive list, several features recur time and again. 1. Supremacy of the Constitution. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. No law or amendment can override its fundamental principle. 2. Rule of law. Governance must adhere to established legal principles rather than arbitrary powers. Separation of powers. The distinctive roles of the legislature, executive, and judiciary must be maintained to prevent concentration of power. 4. Judicial review. Courts have the authority to review laws and government actions to ensure they conform with constitutional mandates. 5. Secularism. The state must remain neutral regarding religion, protecting the rights of individuals irrespective of their beliefs. 6. Federalism. Power is divided between the center and the states, ensuring a balance that respects regional autonomy. 7. Democratic governance and free and fair elections. The very essence of a democracy, ensuring that people's voices are heard through periodic competitive elections. 8. Fundamental rights. The core rights enshrined in a constitution, the very guarantees that protect individual liberty and dignity. Each of these elements have been discussed extensively in landmark judgments. For example, in Keshavananda Bharati, the majority opinion signaled that without the supremacy of the Constitution and judicial review, the very idea of democracy state would crumble. Similarly, in Minerva Mills, the balance between fundamental rights and directive principles was declared an integral part of the basic structure. Notice that the list is not fixed. With every new judgment, the interpretation may broaden or narrow, reflecting our nation's evolving values and the challenges it faces. Let's explore how the doctrine has evolved through subsequent judgments. Keshavananda Bharati case of 1973. Here the court delivered a historic 7-6 verdict that set the stage, ensuring that Parliament's power to amend was not absolute. This case did not prove a fixed list, rather it established that a basic structure exists, though its components remain open to interpretation. Indira Gandhi versus Raj Narayan of 1975. This case further demonstrated that electoral fairness and fundamental aspects of our constitutional structure should be transparent. Minerva Mills versus State of India, 1980 case. The court went further to emphasize that an amendment must preserve the balance between fundamental rights and directive principles, a key facet of our basic structure. SR Bommai versus Union of India 1994 and IR Kohilo versus State of Tamil Nadu of 2007. In these judgments, the court continued to apply the doctrine to safeguard federalism, secularism, and judicial review, reinforcing that these features are non-negotiable. Each case contributed to a layered, evolving interpretation. With every judicial pronouncement, the understanding of what is basic expanded slightly, adapting to the constitutional, political, and social context of its time. But this evolution has also sparked debate. Critics contend that by allowing the doctrine to evolve, judges are essentially setting their own rules of the game. And here's the million-dollar question. Should courts have so much power to define and redefine the sense of our constitution? It is time to address a critical issue, the judicial power vested in the Basic Structure Doctrine. On one side, many view this doctrine as the bulwark that preserves our democracy against temporary majorities and authoritarian impulses. On the other side, critics argue it gives unelected judges disproportionate power to decide what is basic in our constitution. Critics say if the fundamental nature of our constitution can be so dramatically defined by judicial opinion, then are we not at risk of judicial overreach? Who gets to decide which values are inviolable, and does this not undermine the democratic process? Supporters respond by reminding us that democracy is not merely about majority rule, it is about constitutional morality, and the judiciary's role is precisely to ensure that the rights are not violated even by popular majorities. They argue that the safeguards we enjoy today are because judges dare to say some things must remain untouchable. Consider the alternative. If every amendment were possible without limits, could a constitution be reduced to a mere document of transient political will? The Basic Structure Doctrine, with all its imperfection, stands as a last line of defense against the erosion of our core values. Now, I want you to think deeply about this. Do you believe there should be limits on Parliament's power, even if it means entrusting the decision to the courts? Should the judiciary have the final say in defining the soul of our constitution? Take a moment. Reflect on these questions as you have seen how the Basic Structure Doctrine has evolved. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective is an integral part of our dialogue. Let's summarize the key insights from today's lecture. 1. The Basic Structure Doctrine is not a fixed list, but an evolving concept shaped by judicial interpretation. 2. Key elements such as constitutional supremacy, the rule of law, separation of powers, judicial review, secularism, and federalism have repeatedly been identified as fundamental. Landmark cases from Golaknath to Keshananda Bharti and subsequent judgments continue to refine the doctrine, ensuring that our constitution's core remain intact. 4. The doctrine's fluid nature has sparked online debates about the appropriate balance of power between the legislature and the judiciary. Ultimately, this doctrine is a safeguard, a shield that ensures that the constitution endures in its true spirit, no matter the political wish or winds. As we conclude episode 3, Anatomy of the Doctrine, what is a basic structure? I hope this detailed exploration has given you deeper insights into how our constitution is protected by principles that may not be explicitly written in text, but are woven into it with very fabrics. Understanding this doctrine is not merely academic, it is essential for defending our rights and preserving democracy. Thank you for joining me today. If you found this lecture insightful, please like, share, subscribe. Click the black bell icon so you can never miss an episode of this series. Now, in the coming episode, we will continue to dive deeper, exploring the judicial battles that have refined this doctrine, its global implications, and its role in shaping modern and India. Your comments and thoughts are welcome, so please share them below. Until next time, stay informed, question critically, and honor the spirit of our constitution. This is Amod Bidhuri, and we will meet again in the next hearing. Jai Hind. Thank you.